Hi, Shine Tribe. Welcome back. A while ago, I was invited to give a talk at a national conference, and it was entitled Women Trailblazers. Is it harder as a woman? And I actually embarrassingly spent many months thinking about this and what exactly I wanted to say, because I think it could be controversial and it could be like, I don't know, even go to like a disheartening place. But it really stirred something inside of me of what I really believe about everybody, each person, and like, what does it mean to be a trailblazer and what does it mean to live our lives in a way that is creative and blazing a trail, even if we like removing the judgments about what that's supposed to mean. And so it wasn't only about learning and being inspired from all of the women and men who have gone first, but it was really about you and about me and about the way that we so often like lead quietly or lead without even thinking that we're leading, and how much we carry and how often we underestimate the courage that it takes just to live our freaking daily life. And we don't even see it as something extraordinary. We're just like, it's just Tuesday. I'm just Saidie. Like, this is not special. This is not, anything. This is just life, And so I just wanted to come to you with this like inspiration from this talk and my thoughts. And this really, it's an invitation as a sister who sees you and who thinks you're freaking incredible. And I want you to see it too. Like, that's the point of it. I want you to see you through my eyes and through how I see you, and probably how a lot of people see you. And I hope by now that you know that this SoulSHINE space isn't just like a social media platform, a vodcast, but like it's truly what I wish to create is a space, a community that we're building together to return home to ourselves, a place where you can just plug in into your heart, your truth, your spirit, your becoming, and be with other courageous, heart-led people who want to make this world and themselves a better, fuller, more authentic, beautiful place. And honestly, like, even though the talk was framed around women, this could be around any underrepresented identity, anyone who has faced adversity, which like is everyone in some capacity, I mean, that could be a whole nother side conversation. But just for the sake of like holding our shared humanity, that everyone goes through hard things. And everybody probably tends to undersee their own extraordinary self, that I think this is worth listening to for everybody. But since it's framed from this like women trailblazer discussion, and not a lot of the research, some of the research obviously came from women, I'm just going to continue with women as the trailblazer example. However, as I said, all humans go through some degree of adversity, and I trust that the gentlemen and other identities listening to this space can just find resonance with what speaks to each one of you, and know that I'm not trying to exclude anybody by using women or women identifying people, but it just helps for me to stay focused on the conversation. Okay, so the way I delivered the talk was like really actually inspired by a previous podcast that we had earlier about like the heart being the navigation system and the mind being the strategist. And so I took them back and forth between like mind, heart. And it was like a whole experience with the lights and pictures and poetry and data. So for this medium, I'm just going to deliver it in a slightly different way and just talk to you. And then I'm going to end it with the poem being all intact together, the way that I wrote it originally, and just end us in our heart. Yeah. And then from there, you can take that and do whatever you want to do with it. So this will be a little bit of everything, part soul and heart, part science. But honestly, the whole thing is an invitation. So I think that word like trailblazer can be intimidating. It already carries like judgment from different people. Like I'm sure if we asked 10 different people what a trailblazer was, we'd get 10 different answers. And so I'm going to take you on a journey, and I'm going to invite you to take a big deep breath. And I'm going to ask you to just let go. of everything that you thought this conversation would be or could be or should be. And I'm going to ask you also to let go of everything that you think you should be. And let us welcome exactly who you are, where you are in this moment. This is an invitation to see yourself as the ultimate trailblazer of this incredible, beautiful life you're living, no matter what it looks like, no matter what you do. My intention is not just to give you more data on why it's harder for women, because we already know that. We know that women face more burnout, fewer leadership roles, more persistent doubts of belonging. Like that landscape is already laid out for us. And if excellence and empathy were the only criteria for leadership, then women would be at every table in every room. And we know that there's very real barriers for lots of different people. So instead of just throwing more information at you, I want this conversation to just be a portal where a little bit of science meets a little bit of heart, and we blaze a trail into your humanity, into your power. Not every journey needs a map or even a destination, but every trailblazer, I think, needs two things: desire and a compass. Self-determination theory is an evidence-based framework to understand human motivation, and it's made up from three essential elements. I'm going to give you the classic ones, and then I'm going to give you my take. So classically, it's autonomy, which is feeling in control of your behavior; competence, which is like mastering tasks; and relatedness, which is feeling belonging or connection. I'm going to give you the journal information in the show notes. So autonomy, competence, relatedness. And I'm going to share my take on two of them to orient our journey, and we'll pick up the third one as we walk it. So let's return to desire and a compass. Okay, the first tool is desire. But desiring what? Desiring to feel alive, desiring to grow, to evolve, to take the journey simply for the journey's sake. And that desire is never just individual. Even when we walk alone, we're connected always to something greater, our communities, our purpose, to each other. So you'll hear this guidepost often on this journey we're going to take together. And I learned it from my mentor, Melanie Ann Lair, from me, for you, for us. And this, for me, for you, for us, is my interpretation, my take on the relatedness pillar of self-determination theory that talks about belonging. And it also echoes the socioecologic model in public health, which reminds us that individuals, relationships, and systems, me, you, us, are all interconnected and reciprocal. You matter just as much as the systems that you serve. You're not separate from the world that you hope to change. The second tool we need on our journey is a compass. But a compass to where? To you, to your dreams, to your authenticity, to the inner knowing of who you are here to be, what you came to experience. Trailblazing isn't about only icons, inventors, forging brand new paths. Right now, let's redefine that the trail is you, your life, your unique expression. Let's say that you chose a quote unquote well-paved path that everyone walks. You're a professional, you're a caregiver, a spouse, an educator, a service provider, whatever it is. But no one will ever do it just like you, with your vision, with your lived experience. And that is trailblazing. And this is also my interpretation or take on the competence pillar of self-determination theory, except that I don't mean competence from only mastering external skills or abilities or outcomes. I mean competence in selfhood, the mastery of self-trust. So we return to this question, but we have new tools in our hand. Is it harder as a woman? Is not where our journey ends. It's where it begins, with courage, curiosity, and space to choose differently. So I ask, for me, for you, for us. For me, Who do I want to be because it's harder? For you, how can I support you in finding your power even when it's harder? And for us, how do we change the world together even when the path is steep? Research shows us that difficult paths can lead to post-traumatic growth, which means profound transformation in the wake of adversity. The journals will be below. That's Tedeschi, 2018. So, what does it mean to walk a path and to do it as myself, Trailblazer? To reclaim leadership, not through hierarchy, but through authenticity. Some of us are just beginning our journey, and others are nearing the end. Some are leaping off cliffs, and others are navigating unexpected detours. But all of us hold a vision of who we are becoming. So let us take this journey with desire and authenticity, because there's actually science to being yourself. Authenticity isn't just a sexy buzzword. It's a proven protective factor. In multiple studies across medicine, law enforcement, education, living in alignment with your values is associated with lower burnout and boredom, with greater life and job satisfaction and engagement, with stronger psychological resilience and coping. And this is among women in male-dominated or high-stress professions, and especially women in mid-career. And again, I'll link some of these in the show notes. It's quite extensive how many articles I had to go into, and I don't want to overwhelm the show notes, so I'll just pick a few. And if you want the full list, please email me at hello@soulshine.com. But let's return back to the conversation. If authenticity is so powerful, why is it so freaking hard? So many of us have had to hide parts of ourselves to survive. And research describes these barriers, acknowledges these barriers of internal bias and gender norms, of toxic environments with lack of psychological safety, where vulnerability is seen as a weakness. The barrier of fear of being labeled difficult, emotional, unprofessional, and of course, imposter syndrome. All of these forces push women to conform and to silence their truth. And it costs us disconnection from ourselves and from each other. And there is good news. Evidence-based tools work. Some of these you already know from being in this space. For example, mindfulness. It produces awareness, well-being, and emotional regulation, and it decreases burnout. Self-compassion. It counters self-criticism and shame, and it increases optimism. Cognitive behavioral therapy style reframing helps you rewrite limiting stories. Also, support groups to reduce isolation and normalize shared struggles, and organizational change, which increases psychological safety. These aren't like luxuries. They're evidence-based interventions capable of saving careers. And without realizing it, you've already been practicing some of them today throughout this talk, and you practice them all the time when you plug into this space of SoulSHINE. So remember when we paused and we breathed? That was to help us shift out of our reactive and emotional limbic system, which can sabotage our prefrontal cortex because it processes up to 100 times faster. And that prefrontal cortex is where we are our highest self. We regulate our nervous system. We create space to exchange an automatic reaction with an intentional response. Remember when you listened and reflected with curiosity throughout all of this time? That's mindfulness. It's just awareness. It can also be called thinking about your thinking, or metacognition, or consciousness, which you're aware of if you've been in this space. But that's being aware and curious about our beliefs so that we can ask ourselves, is this belief true, or is this some like distortion? Is this something I can deconstruct? Where did I get this from? Do I still want to believe this? Do I want to change this? Remember when we deconstructed beliefs about what trailblazing even is and who that is way earlier in this? That's also reframing, which changes our emotional response, orienting more towards problem solving. So all of these are science-backed tools of transformation. And this is critical because CBT reminds us that our circumstances are neutral and our thoughts about them give them meaning. So you can have up to 60,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are the same as yesterday. And 80% of them are biased towards negativity. So that means most of us are living yesterday on repeat autopilot, waiting for the world to change before we do, finding ourselves disempowered. And we often think that power is about changing, controlling, manipulating the people, the circumstances, the problems outside of us. And I offer a different definition of power: the ability to act. You can only act when you give yourself the choice to act. And CBT shows us that when you create that space between stimulus response, you reclaim your ability to choose. It's not just automatic reaction. It's intentional response, and I choose how I want to respond. I reclaim my ability to choose, and therein lies my power. How I choose to respond, no matter the circumstances around you. Even if that choice is not to act, I'm the one choosing. Not the person, not the circumstance. I do it for me. That's self-empowerment. Allowing yourself to choose and act accordingly is called autonomy. That's the third and final pillar of self-determination theory that we started with. When we release the need to change others, we all become freer. We focus on our becoming, the woman who can inspire, who can champion, who can lead by being her fullest self. And then the world shifts as a byproduct of who you are. For me first, for you, for us, the reciprocity of the socio-ecological framework, full circle. You've also been practicing some self-compassion. Remember when we embraced the Trailblazer, acknowledging this post-traumatic growth, seeing her flaws as her depth? That's self-compassion. And science shows it's a powerful agent of change. It improves our motivation, our resilience, our well-being. It reduces our burnout. It increases our capacity to risk, to adapt, to lead sustainably. Just from coaching over these past 4 years, hundreds of high-achieving women and men, if I had to just boil it all down to one thing, and I think I've said this on a previous episode, it would be that transformation begins with radical self-acceptance, because how you see yourself matters. Failure hurts if you think that it proves that you're weak. Failure fortifies if you believe that it proves that you were brave. Self-compassion lets you run with fear and doubt, not from it. It builds a relationship to yourself that is sustainable. It allows you to dare to risk again and to trust that it is safe to blaze forward. And honestly, you practice this every day and you think it's not a big deal. You don't see yourself as a trailblazer, but just take a minute and look back at all the incredible shit that you've done. I mean, just being a woman and doing what you're doing is trailblazing. Take away what you do. You could be a full-time caregiver and think, but I'm not trailblazing. Women have been doing this for hundreds of years. Okay, let's remove that label too and look at who you had to become to do it. You've had to face self-doubt. You've had to hold your ground when someone underestimated you. You've had to trust your intuition, something invisible and tangible, over someone else's expertise and authority sometimes. And still, you show up every single day to be blazing the trail of your own life only the way that you can with your authentic expression. So my wish for me, for you, and for us is that by living in our fullest expression, we become both a disruptor and a healer in society, in our personal lives, and beyond. And instead of ending with our tradition of take-home questions to contemplate, I'm going to close out this journey of self-initiation by sharing this poem that I wrote, which actually was the basis for this whole talk. I wrote the poem first, and then from there, I created the talk and a lot of what I delivered today. And so we're going to go back to our beautiful, brave heart with one more deep breath. May this spark and stir your inner fire. Trailblazer, pathfinder, the one who goes first. the one who transforms obstacles into building blocks, creating something from nothing. Who is she? She goes first for herself, for her desire, her curiosity, for the calling of her heart and her spirit. She sees the wild, untamed path ahead. Knowing it will be challenging, she forges onward with bravery and passion because it speaks to the wild and untamed inside of her. She would rather live fully, even if it hurts more, even if she takes bigger risks, even if no one understands, than play small just to be safe, to belong, to follow a path already paved. She has the strength to hold grief, the courage to honor sacred rage. Her wisdom reveres all parts of the journey without judgment as guidance on this invisible path. She doesn't need a map, only the next step and the courage to take it. She trusts that each winding curve serves a purpose, knowing it's not about the trail itself, but who she becomes along the way. Her becoming is a gift of both strength and softness, of authenticity, hope. And as she walks freely, fully, you feel permission to do the same. You raise your head a little higher. Take a detour your heart's been whispering about. Your path is unique, but your power is equal. Together, we disrupt what it means to lead, to live, not by our force, but by our fullness. We blaze the trail not only because it is the goal, but because it is who we are, our completely complete selves. We continue where our ancestors left off. Mothers, grandmothers, women, and allies whose names we may never know. We dream with audacity because there were women before us who were never allowed to, and yet they dreamed anyway. Their sacrifice and passion paved a path for us to vote, be educated, to love freely, believe freely, be who we want and realize our potential. To be our fullest expression is to honor those who came before and those yet to come. So choose to blaze, to burn brightly, burn for all that your heart desires. Choose power, choose influence, choose success. And may you choose burning not at the expense of others, but to light them up too. May you choose power not over, but power with. May you seek influence not to serve yourself, but to serve something bigger. May you blaze the trail not to destroy, but to build something never built before. And let us end where we began. Is it more difficult as a woman? There are still artificial barriers that we face. And if the only criteria were excellence, dedication, and empathy, then we would represent at every single table around the world. So let us blaze our trail and shine so brightly that we burn all those artificial barriers. Your path awaits. The world is ready. Are you? Wishing you all play, possibility, and peace. Wishing you to feel supported in this space, and I am so honored to be a part of your soul tribe. I'm sending you love, and I'll see you next week. Bye.